You know, I always love the sound of Lamborghinis, and you would think that I'm sitting right here in my 2021 Pearl Capsule Urus, which if you've been following the channel, you know I have had for a while. But today we're actually not in my Pearl Capsule. We are in my brand new 2023 Lamborghini Urus Performante. And the way you can tell, here's something that wasn't available in the Urus before. You even say anything, look at this. This is not little stitching. This is an actual red piece of plastic that matches this piece right here when you start. And that's how you know you're in a Performante and you can do this. Woo! You know, so when they told me that the Lamborghini Urus was going to have a Performante version, I was really excited. I was really excited for one reason, because I don't know if you guys have been following the channel long enough, but I literally have hated the Huracan when it first came out as one of the worst cars on the road. I said the craftsmanship was crap, the quality was bad, but I did say one thing, which still holds true today. I said it was a great platform. And good God, have they milked this platform with every variation they could have. But, you know, I kind of said the same thing about the Urus when it first came out. I said, really good baseline, but there's quite a lot of things missing. It's just not that exciting. It's missing certain dynamics of design that makes it less like dull, like an Audi. And the driving's really good, but it's just really not differentiated from what you would consider to be other competitors in the same dollar range. So, you know, for me, the Urus was again a great platform, just that needed a lot of, you know, work around the edges. And so when they told me they were coming out with a Performante, I got excited because when the Performante Huracan came out, I said that was one of the best cars that ever existed, and I still hold that to date. It's still a spectacular car all around in every way possible. So if it's that good and yet it was that subtle of difference, I knew that when they did the Urus Performante, they had such a high standard to live up to, perhaps too high, because my expectation was, okay, we're gonna have this car, it's gonna be twice as good as a regular one and yet subtle. So when they started talking in the press briefings about the fastest SUV ever made, but yet they talked about just a few extra horsepower, 40 pounds lighter, and not really anything that significantly different on paper, I was pretty excited because I said that means they're on the same path as the regular Huracan to Huracan Performante. It didn't look that good on paper, but it became such an unbelievable driving experience and such an unbelievable car, and it even set a world record. So it was so exciting to see that small details can make such a significant difference, like with the Huracan Performante. So they told me this was coming out. I said, you know what? I'm gonna blindly order this no matter what. And then came the surprise. $330,000 for an well-loaded Performante Urus. And I was like, wait, what? 330 grand for something that's got a few more details than the 250K version? This thing better be fucking glorious, because for that much money, you could have had a regular Urus and an SL63, or a regular Urus and an old ass Gallardo. So, I mean, it's a lot of money for the SUV class, because it's kind of scary, because now you're getting in with Cullinans. Like, used Cullinans are in the threes, and they're going to drop in the twos. And black badge Cullinans are in the threes. Now, of course, Cullinans are not sporty SUVs like the Urus, but it doesn't change the fact that it's a $500,000 SUV you can buy for like 350 grand. So when you're telling me you have to spend 350 grand on an Urus, I started twitching, and I was like, I don't know if that's gonna make a lot of sense. So it was a pretty big surprise and shock from a price standpoint, especially for what it was. I didn't think it looked that significantly different. So we're gonna go take a look at it and really understand what makes the Performante more exciting than the regular one. But the first thing we noticed is the pop, 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 pop. In regular sport mode, it's louder than the Corsa mode of the regular Urus, which is exciting. It comes with an acropovic exhaust, which is something you can do on the Urus, and it doesn't make that big of a difference on the Urus. So this was interesting to see how they used that partnership to come up with this now, which is, you know, I would say pretty exciting. You know, again, small details, but I don't necessarily know yet. I've only had a couple of days with this for now. I don't necessarily know if it's better than my Pearl capsule. We're gonna talk about that too in a little bit and look at and differentiate the two in another video later, but we'll talk a little bit about how much better is this than a regular Urus. But one thing I want to point out here that I think is so important to really just get a feel for is that the one thing with Performante versus non-Performante that we saw in the Huracan, I'm going to pull over to show you guys some stuff here. But the one thing that I was going to say, that the big thing we've seen the difference between Performante and non-Performante cars is the feeling the car creates. And I'm going to pull up here in this literally parking lot so we can look at this together. Is the feeling the cars create. Something that we don't see with non-Performante is that we don't feel things, you know, like when we touch things, we feel them. We get a driving experience, right? And with Performante right here, I'm going to tell you, like right away on the inside of the car, before we get on the outside, and I really show you differences between the two, you can tell there is something quite different in this, just like there was in the Huracan Performante. Everything is carbon and Alcantara. And that makes a significant difference. And look, we don't have a sunroof anymore because we have a carbon roof. We're gonna go outside and look at that. We have Alcantara on the dash. We have B&O sound. These are of course optional, and the price on B&O has gone up. It's now $8,000, $7,000 and change. But we have Alcantara in the doors. Alcantara follows through all the way down. We have Alcantara on the side seats, literally where the seat controls are, is also Alcantara. So this feeling of money, of excitement is superb. But we also have one subtle yet huge impactful detail here in Performante that we don't have in the regular Urus. All this plastic has now been turned into this very bizarre black ceramic that follows all this trim. You see, in the Pearl capsule, I already had this black trim, which looks fantastic and is a must over the plastic. I already had all this carbon, but what I didn't have was this feeling of plasticless nothing. Like, look, the door handles have this ceramic feel to them, sturdy, hard, exciting. The little buttons here, all black, money looking, like phenomenal job in the details that create such a wonderful experience in the car. Now, even crazier is usually you have a lot of orange here. You know, like you when you do these two-tone interiors, you have all this orange. This is a specification thing. You could have spec'd this with orange, but Lamborghini has been running short on these seats, and this isn't a joke. So they're running short on the seats, so you can't actually do that. Right now, if you're ordering one early like I do, but let's take a look past that. The seat hasn't changed. What you can do with it hasn't changed. But the regular, I want to point this out, the regular non-Performante does not have Alcantara back seats. So that's a big deal. Alcantara back seats are very pretty because when you're sitting in the back, you're not staring at a plastic piece anymore that your kids kick. You're staring at art. And you see, that's the one thing I love about Performante, is that everything is like the art version of the Urus with the performance. So it's like they have that art piece in there, and it just really works in person, and it doesn't mean shit in pictures. It doesn't mean anything when you're not experiencing it. And that's why the Performante experience on the Huracan was such a drastic difference between that and the regular one. And one of the things I want to mention here that I think a lot of people sometimes miss or don't pay attention to, being an owner and experiencing a car is very different from just seeing something in a press release somewhere and saying that looks cool or it doesn't. I do my reviews here at Exotic Car Hacks very much focused on experience, and also on the idea that I'm paying for this myself. So I'm not borrowing this car, this is my car, I just bought it. It's registered, it's fantastic. One thing I want to mention here, that does make a difference because I have to live with this. And so it's little quirks, it's little annoying stuff. It is bothering me, and it will show in my reviews. And that's one of the reasons you need to like, subscribe, and turn on notification if you haven't already subscribed to the channel. Because this is what we do at Exotic Car Hacks. We look at these cars from the angle of an owner, someone who has paid money for this. Like, and what am I experiencing? What am I getting? Am I enjoying it? Do I hate it? Does it bother me? And the details here in the idea of Performante compared to non-Performante models has been now sustained and consistent these two times, both with the Huracan and now with the Urus. A lot of Alcantara, a lot of little details, creating a very different dynamic experience in the car. So now let's head outside and take a look at the outside of the car. And by the way, just before I even start talking about this beautiful spec car, I'm in Grigio Telesto, incredible Orancio interior. But one thing I'd like to mention is a special thank you to my friend Wayne over at Lamborghini Palm Beach for getting me this car. A lot of things have been undergoing with the Urus Performante program, made it very hard to get a lot of options like carbon and everything. And if you've been trying to order an Urus, you're probably going through that pain, but Wayne took care of me so well that we're able to get in early enough to get the right car. And that's something that I wanted to go ahead and just a quick shout out to my friends at Lamborghini Palm Beach for taking care of me and making this happen. With all of my other cars, I always go to them, but I wanted to say that because specifically this car has been quite a bit of a pain to try to get. But let's talk about the spec. Grigio Telesto, one of the most iconic colors for Lamborghini, the Nardo of Lamborghini, fitted with carbon front, carbon arches, carbon diffuser, carbon roof, and of course, carbon bonnet. Now, I've argued that if you're going to do Performante without the carbon bonnet, it makes no sense. The Urus S deletes this as an option and basically gives you these vents. So why not just get an Urus S, get the air suspension and be more comfortable rather than pay all the money for Performante? So my thing is, if you're gonna do a Performante, you gotta do it right. Carbon roof, carbon hood is a must, and truly beautiful when you look at it. Even more obvious off camera, and more importantly, more obvious with a lighter color. So if you did a white with a carbon, you'd have a much more exciting contrast in the sense of seeing the carbon. But this color just works so well in person, it's beautiful. So again, carbon, 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 you know, all around. We decided to keep, again, these side skirts, not carbon, these mirrors, and these triangle here to try to keep the MSRP down. This came out to $331,000, which is pretty heavy MSRP. You could buy one of these as low as $290 with very limited option and less carbon. The 23-inch wheels are a must. Again, you get this little Performante spoiler, which is exciting looking and cute. You get this little thing that was, again, the spoiler that was also available in the Pearl capsule. Acropavic exhaust, what we're talking about. A very refined rear bumper with Performante, which again gives you a very different look from the back, and a very accentuated diffuser, something that again right here we didn't have until my Pearl capsule was upgraded, which gave it a very different look. So here, right out of the factory, a very complete product, just like the original Performante Huracan, very complete from the factory, not in need of anything extra. I want to point out something from a design standpoint that has changed on the car. You can see, if you just stare at it from the front right here, take a look and you'll notice this more Performante Huracan looking design in the front bumper that again mimics kind of these little subtle hints to what Performante is. So when we look at this, just the spec and the car as a whole, very complete from the factory, which is why I decided to outfit it with a ton of carbon in order not to continuously mod it or add, you know, mods and that bring the dollar up. A lot of functional option, a lot of design aesthetic functions, a lot of interior options for a complete product again at $330,000. So should you spec out a Urus Performante to this level? I would argue that the price is pretty heavy. I mean, I would say that, you know, once you get into the 300s, it's really getting in that upper side of where these SUVs and super SUVs should be, because you have to consider that that's a lot of money for a daily driver. And one of the reasons why Rolls doesn't really work for a mass product is because, again, it's a lot of money to put on the road on a daily basis. I think this is a quality product. I think it works superbly well in person. It does make a big difference with the little details inside and out. The product right next to the old product does look very different, and we'll upload a photo here for you to see the Pearl capsule next to the Performante and see the subtle differences. Yet the Pearl capsule is modded with a body kit and still doesn't have the presence and excitement that the Performante has. So I think the design cues, again, are consistent with the brand, which make a big difference. How do they make me feel? I wish the Urus was a little bit more dramatic, but I guess that's its appeal. It can both be drama and subtle, and it kind of works therefore with what they're trying to do. I wish it was a little bit more dramatic. I wish it was a little bit more exciting of a design, but I don't think it's a flawed design. I think it's a question of taste. Like some of you like blondes, you like brunettes, it doesn't make a difference. It's all about what you kind of like and what you see. But I will tell you that the subtle changes on the interior make the experience much better. And I will tell you that the driving feeling of the car, because of the lack of multi-layered air suspension and now into this more coil-driven suspension system, does make it more like a car and more exciting. But it doesn't mimic the excitement of a Huracan Performante, which is interesting because this is meant to be a daily driver. And so I will say that it's an exciting daily driver, but it's not a superb weekender. So you can't really do both. You have to have the sports car. You can't get away with just one, is the argument here. So we pulled over on the side of the road here just to look at it. You're getting a good grasp, a good look at it. You'll notice here, the back has really no difference from before. Nothing has changed outside of the back of the seats, like I said, and the Alcantara following here on the entire door. A different feeling, not that it matters if you have a child seat or something in the back. This car, as I told you, is brand new, still has the wrapper on the bottom here. You can see that. But again, the argument is subtle differences in terms of design and performance on paper, but yet spectacularly different, not only in person, but as an experience. That is what Performante is, and I will give kudos to Lamborghini because they have stayed true to what they do. One of my arguments with Ferrari all the time is that they try to please their clients. They don't build products around their own innovation. They build products around what their clients want. And that's a problem because once you start doing that, you lose your identity. And I feel a lot of that with Ferrari these days, like a lot of that. But I don't see that with Lamborghini, and that's a very good sign for the brand. Sticking to what they do best, even if people disagree with it, that is the power that I've seen with Lamborghini, and that remains true with Urus Performante. So that's my review and first impressions of my new Urus Performante. If you've liked this review and want to see more like this, please like, subscribe, turn on notifications. Let me know what do you think of the spec. I try to outdo myself every time with a surprise in the spec, something different that you don't see as much. I think this is my first Urus Performante. I'm sure this is a more subtle version, something we'll see out there more people do. But I'm going to go with a more crazy version for my second one that's going to come soon, and we're going to feature that once it actually comes out. So there you have it. Take a good look at it. Let me know what you think in the comments. Love it, hate it, wouldn't have bought it. You think it's too expensive? It's not 330 grand. Is it worth it for an Urus? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Like, subscribe, turn on notifications, and I'll catch you next time for Exotic Car Hacks. My name is Pejman Gadimi, and I teach people how to drive exotics for free. Let's look here at how this Huracan can cost as little as $300 a month.